Hi everyone, welcome to another table talk. In my continuing series of intermediate park jet setups, originally I wasn't going to do this video, and then one of my loyal YouTube followers put a comment on one of the previous videos in this series asking about leading edge flaps, slats, and I'll also in this video talk about canards. So leading edge flaps, I'm sure somebody in YouTube land will correct me, but essentially there are some models that you can build. I don't have any in my hangar right now, where they will have a fixed, sometimes mostly a fixed sort of flap, smaller than say an aileron, to aid primarily in slow speed flying, similar to what you would see on many real modern fighter jets these days. I've seen where people have actually hooked those up so that they're actually movable, hinge them just like you would any other control surface. I haven't seen too many people use like a slat where there's a space between the actual surface out here and the leading edge of the wing. And also I'll talk a little bit about canards, which normally would be sort of out here attached to the leading edge root extension ahead of the wing. So I have flown. I've only built one plane with the leading edge fixed flap, and that was the RC Powers F-18 version 4. I have had the chance most recently to fly. One of my club members let me fly his RC Powers SU-27 version 5. He built it full size with the flap on the front of the wing. There were some significant differences now when I think about those planes. The F-18 version 4 had a very quite an aggressive angle on the flap on the front here. It was also designed to give you the option to put KF2 on the top, which I did. The Su-27 that I flew has a much smaller, smaller and not as aggressively angled. So what I noticed, both of the planes, maybe not so much the F-18 version 4, because I felt that flap maybe was a bit too aggressively angled. But definitely with the Su-27 version 5, was that slow speed handling and stability was definitely improved. I could fly that plane almost so slow it would almost hover. With the F-18 version 4, I found quite a bit of, I found actually some instability. I found drag and I found some instability, especially if there was some wind, because I've got all these funny angles going on with respect to my wing. So it didn't, and maybe the KF2 didn't help that as much. And I'm also now going to be doing another video discussing, to KF or not KF kind of thing based on my experiences. So anyway, that was my experience. So I think, again, very narrow scope of database of info here for you to give you my experiences. But I think if I was to build a plane to have those leading edge flaps, I would just have this straight wing. That's, most designers now that go that way. For example, the FRC Foamy's F-18 that I just built, it was designed to have the slats. I chose to go with KF4s, or the flap I should say. Same thing with the FRC Foamy's F-22 Raptor that I'm going to be building. I'll be going with KF4 on that. So I would suggest, go with, if the designer has designed it, don't go with a KF, because I think the KF2 on the top was causing me some issues with the F-18 version 4. Just go with a flat wing and then the flap angled on the leading edge of the wing. My experience with canards, pardon me, I've built 3 or 4 different airplanes with canards. On a calm day, they're actually, pretty good. They actually make the plane feel a little bit lighter on the sticks because the canards do give you a little bit of extra lift. They do slow down because you've now added this surface area out in the front here. I have found flying, for example, the FRC Foamies SU-37 Mark II, I built the with canards and without canards and then flew kind of a comparison. And I found that the canards did slow the plane down a little bit in the pitch and also in the roll because those canards were getting in the way. But on a calm day, it actually made the plane feel a little bit more silky smooth by having that extra lift from the canards, and also, you know, giving you a lower wing loading from that as well. But what I have found is I find that, for me anyway, for planes with canards, flying in any kind of wind, which, you know, even 5 to 10 miles an hour, I found made the nose a lot more unstable. I've always flown with fixed canards. There are guys out there that have set them up to be movable canards. You know, there's lots of stuff. I'll see if I can find a couple of threads, but there's a couple of guys on the RC Powers forum, F1 Wannabe and Airflow, who have done some experimentation with that. So if you want to go to that forum, and I'll see if I can find there. I think there might be a thread or two. If I can find those threads about canards, I'll link them down below in the comments. So yeah, so anyway, they're you know, if you're flying mostly in calm, for me anyway, I found that, you know, they actually made the plane feel a little bit smoother, lighter on the sticks because of the added lift. But then as soon as I flew in any wind, I had a bit more problems with instability with the canards. Same thing with the leading edge flaps. But you know, if you purposely are wanting to build a plane and set it up so that you have more lift and maybe stability at slower speeds, you know, for doing high alpha or just flying around slow, then you know, definitely you could experiment with those. Like I said, the SU-27 version 5 from RC Powers would be a good choice to experiment with that, because it's also kind of a trainer type airplane. You know, I've also seen where guys do that. They've got the fixed leading edge flap and then set up their ailerons as flaperons, you know, to really experiment with. So yeah. So anyway, so there's my experience for what it's worth. My fairly limited experience with leading edge flaps and canards. I wrote an article as part of my Which Park Jet for Me series on my blog a while back, so I'll have that link down below as well. So anyway, hope that's been helpful. Maybe give you some food for thought on, you know, just on the minimal lessons learned that I have learned experimenting with leading edge flaps and canards. So thanks very much for watching. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Park jet noise, the other sound of freedom, baby. Take care.